The next round of changes are underway. We've got some showers and a couple of rumbles of thunder here and there in the northeast, but it doesn't look too bad on the radar. Severe weather and flash flooding in the central plains again, and lots of scattered showers and thunderstorms around everywhere else east of the Rockies. The southwest is dry, a little precip in the northwest. We'll have all that and much more coming up tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show. And he's not here yet. So I start on time. So anyway, I started on time. My apologies for last night. As I had said right before it happened, we had a thunderstorm go by, and it must have knocked the internet out because I was down for about wound up being down for about half an hour. But I came back. I think it was maybe about a quarter after 8. But it's all back and everything is working. And Mr. Rayo has now graced us with his presence. It's 7:31 Eastern Time. Did you do your hair?
Hello.
Did you do your hair?
Did I do my hair?
No, well, you
No.
were
Why?
fussing. You were just fussing with your
Well,
hair.
like this. No, just I fell asleep watching the gubernatorial debate.
Well,
Oh.
what better cure for insomnia? Which the New York State one?
Yes.
Or which
Yes.
the Democrats or the Republicans? Which one?
The
Oh,
Democratic. Yes.
okay. The Democrats. Yes. The Democrats and
Democrat.
Democrats, and then the Republicans.
Yes.
Exactly.
But
I miss Lynn Samuels. I really do.
me.
I loved her. For those of you who don't know, Lynn Samuels was this, as Bob Grant described her as, a screeching hyena. I'm not responsible for what some screeching hyena says every day from 4 to 7 p.m. on WABC radio.
Hour of the Weather Channel.
Thank you for that blip of audio. It was most appreciated. So anyhow, I was just explaining that I lost the internet last night because just before the show went on, we had a thunderstorm go by. So I guess it must have hit somewhere else in town and knocked out the wires over at Drucker's General Store in Pixley. And I was down for about 30 minutes. But so far today, we actually had downpours today into this afternoon and some rumbles of thunder, but nothing's been happening since about 2 or 3 o'clock. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that remains the case. And as the conversation was going on the chat board, I live in an extremely rural area, okay? I'm in a town that has less than 800 people, and the next town closest to me is 25 miles away. So there's no financial incentives for companies to come this far to service a very small population. That's just the way it is. But
Right.
but on the other hand, we have a wonderful electric company, which is it's a co-op, and it's part of the Tennessee Valley Authority hydroelectric power system. So my electricity is so cheap, it's ridiculous. And they are actually wiring they've wired part of this area for broadband, and now they did mine. They brought the wires down my dirt road. They have the wires up to my house, and I just have to wait for them to call me to schedule an install. That's it. So once that happens, should be finally off this cable system that I'm on, that I use the internet on. Anyway. That's the long story. How was your day?
Boring.
Well, boring is good.
There's not much. There's not much to say when one is. Well, I don't have to tell you, but when one is retired, I mean, you tend to certain things, and that that the day pretty much went very quickly. So it started out this morning. They're in the process, or they did fix my leak in my linen closet
Oh, that's
down
right.
here.
Yes.
So, but we still have to now figure out how to fix the sheetrock. They had to break through the sheetrock to get to the leak. Now I have to get somebody to come in
I was
here
going
and
to say you
fix
need
the
you
sheetrock.
need to get a sheetrock specialist in order to come in. He
Yes,
has to give you a
yes,
diagnosis and then an estimate, and then the estimate will make your eyes fall out of your head. But it's one of
They say,
those.
"Holy sheet!"
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Uh, exactly. Uh, Steve Lapointe hit super chat. Thank you, Steve, for doing that, hitting it early. Also, Doug Wetzel on the chat board. His mom had a stroke. We're very sad to hear that, and we wish your mom speedy recovery and all the best to you and to your family. Uh, Tough times, uh, when stuff like that happens, comes out of the blue, hits like lightning, and then you're sort of in a kind of a state of shock for a while you're processing it.
Right.
Uh, there's no, I never know what the right or wrong thing to say is in a situation like that. So sometimes I just keep my mouth shut. Uh, but not this time and other times. So again, speedy recovery to you and to your mom and best wishes to your family. And yes, David Schwartz, I do live in Hooterville. Okay, I do. Uh, Actually, I have to tell you, it's nice. It's a small town. There's no stress. It's a four-way stop sign. It's about all the traffic that I have if there's a car in front of me. That's it.
But but
So,
but are there lots of curves? You bet, and even more when you get to the junction.
well, yeah. The mountain roads here are, they're just gorgeous. They're gorgeous drives. The scenery is just insane. How beautiful it is, uh, and it's very relaxed, and I kind of like it that way. So,
But you don't have anybody like Linda Kay Henning or Meredith McRae or Lori
no,
Summers.
no, I guess I don't.
Oh,
Uh, not that I've seen anyway. But lots of nice people here, and a lot of people our age have come up here to retire, and many of them have homes here and homes in Florida, and they go back and forth. So when it gets too hot in Florida, they come up here. So, uh, and I'm here because if you're wondering why I'm in Northeast Georgia, it's because I have family less than 2 hours away, so in outside of Atlanta, and that's where I wanted to be, so that's where I went. Okay, so still a little bit confused about the weekend now for Sunday in particular because there's the models today are kind of going back to this low just offshore with the northeast wind, and I don't know what to make of it yet. In the meantime, it does look like we have uh, the showers that are around this evening and for the first part of tonight. They don't really look especially threatening. I don't even think I saw a thunderstorm in there on the radar. There might be a couple of heavier downpours. But tomorrow night into Thursday morning, with that developing low, there's probably going to be a good head of steam with it in terms of rain that'll move through tomorrow night into Thursday morning. I'm thinking some places are going to wind up with a couple of inches before the low pulls out. It's not often you see a low get down into the almost to a 990 low this time of year in upstate New York, but that's what we got.
yeah, this thing is going to go right across New York State from southwest to northeast, and probably the worst time, I guess, would be probably between midnight and dawn on Wednesday night, Thursday morning. That's when this thing will be really coming across like a head of steam, as you mentioned, Joe, and then it goes right up into northern New England and puts us in a rather gusty northwesterly flow. Not often that in the month of June you get a gusty northwest wind, but we may very well see that when we get into the late night hours of Thursday night into early Friday. And then Friday looks like a very nice day, and take advantage of it because, again, we do have some question marks. The weekend may turn out to be somewhat problematic as we move into especially Saturday.
Yes. Okay, so everybody's paying $5 a gallon for gasoline. Okay, end of conversation. So no more politics on the board, please. Thank you very much. So anyhow, let's rock and roll and take a look at what's going on. We shall start tonight with ye satellite view of the U.S. And you can actually pick this out pretty well, Joe. There's the lead system that is coming through. and it's fairly well defined. If you look on the satellite, there's a nice little twist there in southeastern Canada. However, it's up in southeastern Canada, so that really is where all the energy is, and that's why the showers that we're seeing tonight are not really doing very much. But to the southwest, in the lower Mississippi Valley, there's another short wave that is moving through, and you can tell it's a short wave because it's got this sort of swirl look to it, and that's moving to the east, and that's going to make the turn up the seaboard tomorrow inland, and that is going to, as I said, gain a head of steam and produce some heavy rains later tomorrow for tomorrow night into Thursday morning. And if you notice to the west, there's another shortwave trough that's moving into the northern plains. There's another system that's moving into the Pacific Northwest. So we basically have this parade of systems that they're marching across, and as a result, it can't get hot. It just simply cannot get hot.
No, in fact, it looks like the hottest weather. And boy, I tell you, we escaped the southwestern states, my wife and I, because the weather now out there across the southwest into the deep south, it is just excruciatingly hot with temperatures triple digits above 100 degrees. And yet, well, meanwhile, here in the northeastern United States, Joe, as I said, we've got northwest winds that'll be blowing in here, both at the surface and aloft for the end of the week on Friday, and looking long range. I mean, my goodness, I did a double take when I saw this. Well, not this weekend, but the following weekend, Father's Day weekend. I mean, it's unbelievable. They have a wind that looks like it's coming straight on down from the polar region
Yes.
across New York State for the following weekend, and very dry, by the way. So it is an anomalous. I mean, if you're thinking about extreme heat, at least in this section of the country, that doesn't look like it's going to be happening anytime soon. It looks like this is going to be, um, may I say, one of those Garden of Eden type months because it's June and you associate very warm or humid weather with the month of June sometimes. I don't see that. I don't see that at all. It looks like, in fact, um, a cooler than normal airflow when we get into we'll be getting later on in the week into Friday and into next week and especially the following weekend.
Yeah, there are people that are fans of the heat and humidity. I never quite understood why, but uh, yeah, there's no outside of the odd day here and there in between weather fronts where you could theoretically maybe warm up if you've got the right setup, and we've seen that happen a couple of times already. Other than that, there's just no way to get any kind of prolonged heat anytime soon in a pattern like this. Looking around, as Joe mentioned, been hot in from Texas on westward. I've got some friends down in San Antonio, where it's been over 100 degrees every day for the last 4 or 5 days. And in the meantime, we've got severe thunderstorm watches up in eastern Colorado, northeastern New Mexico, a couple of counties in northwest Texas. Much of if you draw a line from the northeast to the southwest corner of Kansas, from there north and west, and southern Nebraska, the southern half of Nebraska, all under a severe thunderstorm watch. And we have a few flash flood watches in southeastern Kansas that are up. Excessive heat in the interior of southern and central California being indicated. An excessive heat watch, which means that if we may get excessive heat, so we'll watch it, hopefully from a cool
Yeah.
place. I never understood that. I saw something the other day. I nearly fell out of my chair, Joe. I got to come back full screen for this. So, you and I and a few other people that I know, there are so many there are so many different kinds of advisories and warnings, et cetera, et cetera. And some of them are a little bit ridiculous. I understand to an extent why they do it. I always made fun of the low water advisory. Okay.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
But this one was a new one. On the hazardous weather outlook for last weekend, I wish I wrote down how it was worded. It was basically do not do not go swimming in the ocean because the water is too cold advisory. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. They had something to that effect that and they had a like a 3 or 4 letter phrase, uh, the something 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 advisory, and it was about don't go in the water because the water temperatures are cold and you could get, you know, uh, you could have issue. You could get hypothermia. Now I get the seriousness of it, but my God, are we starting to get to the point where we're warning people about hangnails? I mean, really, it's just if I see it again, I'm going to make a point of writing it down because it was just one of those ridiculous things that I
You
saw.
know, I've seen like special weather statements telling you, that if you do go into the water, there could be a thermal shock to your body because the temperatures are still not quite there yet.
Right.
Um, but you're right. You're right. It's getting to that point where, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if one of these fine days we saw something like a hangnail advisory posted. It's kind of like it's an analogy would be baseball, where you had back in the day, you'd have baseball players who would play through anything, like Lou
Yes.
Gehrig. You'd play through a broken bone or something like that. And now you got these players. After 5 innings, I got to come out of the game because I've got a I've got a hamstring pull. I feel a little bit achy or whatever like that. All right, we'll take you out or whatever. It's crazy. You're being advised about every little thing nowadays.
Yep.
And yeah, I agree with you 100%.
It's the world we live in, and we can't change it. So let's just go to the radar and be satisfied with that. And here it is tonight, our National Weather Service radar, covering the entire nation from coast to coast and border to border. We've got mostly bands of rain showers here moving through. There might be a couple of very, very, if you want to call them minor thunderstorms, maybe here on I-90, where 90 and 91 intersect in Massachusetts. It looks like some heavy downpours there. There's some heavier downpours off the New Jersey coast. There's some lighter rains further west, and then in upstate New York, we're seeing some light rain, maybe the occasional moderate rain. And in western Pennsylvania, there's where we see what looks like a line of showers and thunderstorms that has developed uh, moving eastward, but that's not going to survive the trip as it does so. In the meantime, uh, well, at least down here in North Georgia, there's nothing at the moment, but I got stuff to my northwest that'll be going by to my north. And there's this complex that's coming out of Alabama into northwestern Georgia that's moving east. That's going to get to me eventually. So hopefully I'll have enough time after the show is over to take the dog out for a walk. Well, actually, he sort of walks himself now because I put this runner outside from the porch to one of the trees. So I just tie him to that, and then I sit on the stoop because I can't walk with my uh, I can't walk him because he'll basically pull me down, and I'll be back in the hospital. But you can see the little curl there in western Mississippi. That's that second shortwave that is plodding along, and then you have the other shortwave in the northern plains, and that's producing the showers and thunderstorms from Nebraska on down into Colorado. We've got a few severe thunderstorm warnings that are up here, and including just one tornado warning, looks like, that has gone up in northeastern Colorado on the last few frames. But there's about half a dozen of these severe thunderstorm warnings, and that's where the Storm Prediction Center has a risk for today, enhanced risk in that northeast corner of Colorado and southern Nebraska, northern Kansas, enhanced slight risk, pretty large area of slight risk, and then a separate area in eastern Arkansas, western Tennessee, western Mississippi for that little lead shortwave that continues to move on through. And with respect to tornado risk tonight, there is a 5% tornado risk in the enhanced zone, a 30% risk of winds of 50 knots or higher. Actually, in the hatched area, you see there is a 10%, at least a 10% risk of wind gusts to 65, and a pretty good shot of up to 30% probability of hail, of 2 inches in diameter. So, wow, that's the size of about a tennis ball. That's got to be kind of cool
Right.
to see. Um, so that's for today. Now, tomorrow, the Storm Prediction Center has the northern edge of marginal risk touching southern New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North South Carolina, and into down the Appalachians. It becomes a slight risk northwest Georgia, across Alabama, northern Mississippi into Arkansas, then sort of arcs back around to the Ohio Valley. There's no severe weather risk north of that line from southern New Jersey to southwest PA, just general thunderstorms being indicated. And on day 3, which is for Thursday, now there's going to be some leftover precip Thursday morning in southern and southeastern New England. So that's why they have the general thunderstorm activity set up early. This is not for the whole day. This is just for the morning hours with the slight risk that's back over in Kansas. That's with the way weather systems have been moving, or for that matter, not moving. The areas that have been getting severe weather risk have been getting it day after day after day, and that's kind of been the case here in the plains. Day 4 has risk from Arkansas to Mississippi into Alabama. And day 4 is the period from Friday into Saturday. Rainfall, WPC, the Weather Prediction Center folks, with still indicating every bit of at least 1.5 to maybe 2+ inches. Now, again, this covers 2 events. This starts at 8 o'clock tonight. Well, so we're pretty much really not going to see much more from what we have here, eastern PA to southern New England, because most of it's on the light side. But for Wednesday night and Thursday, and then for Saturday, so if you combine the two, you're looking at 1.5 inches to some areas in southeastern New England getting up to 2 to 3 inches of liquid. And then we've got some rains from Florida northwest through the eastern Gulf states into the middle Mississippi Valley and back into Kansas and Nebraska. Precip also a bit lighter, though, up in the northern plains, and then extending on up into the Pacific Northwest where it picks up again, and the Southwest is bone dry.
I'm quite frankly surprised that we don't have any potential for severe weather right here in parts of Pennsylvania, New York State,
I would have
tomorrow night into early Thursday.
Yeah, I would have thought that maybe they would have pushed the marginal risk up for tomorrow night. Maybe they'll do that tomorrow, because I was a little surprised to see how they laid out the marginal risk today. It's a pretty large area, and they got it up to southern New Jersey. You might make the case that the there's not going to, how much daytime. It's really more about the shortwave than it is about daytime heating ahead of it. So
Right.
you could say that um, because it's coming through at night, it's not going to have that factor to work on. There's also a bit of a warm front that's setting up just to our south, so that might be also a reason why they left it out. But I also was a little bit surprised, especially given the fact, Joe, that's a pretty wrapped up surface low that goes into western New York and western PA, and then into western New York. It's a 998 low with a bunch of isobars around it. You don't see that too often this time of year. And by the way, I guarantee you, if that were in the daytime, if that were something in the daytime, we would probably have tornado watches up all over the place with something like this.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at that, you'd figure that they're just on the forcing alone, the atmospheric forcing, that there would be some kind of, if not severe, at least maybe marginal, as you just mentioned. But no, but you know what? It's still a day away, or 36 hours away, and they could certainly change things between now and then. Tomorrow might be a different story as to what the forecaster may see. So we'll take a look at that. And yeah, regardless, there's going to be to echo what Lindy says on the chat board. That's a lot of rain everywhere. Yeah, that's gonna be the case tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, there's probably going to be somebody that's going to wind up getting about a couple of inches out of it. I don't have any doubt of that. You see those clusters of thunderstorms coming out of Nebraska and Kansas tonight. This is I've got the new 18Z GFS, so this is at 2 a.m. Wednesday morning. It starts to push eastward. And here you see that low just organizing and lifting up to the northeast with that arm of heavy rain. It's very fast though. I mean, it comes in. Most the day side tomorrow. I don't think there's going to be too much happening tomorrow during the day at all. Might get the sun to come out a little bit for a time anyway. And then tomorrow night you get this arm of rain that comes up for about 6 hours. There's some leftover rain around in the morning, but then it's gone after that. It's dry on Friday, and here comes the next disturbance. And there's a similarity to all of this, Joe, in this sort of fast progressive flow from west to east. As they march along, they all seem to be playing out the same way. This one now, two runs in a row where we're back to this idea where we're going to get a low that's going to take a little bit more of a southern track and go just offshore. I mean, not a whole lot of rain here is being produced, but it does bring some in on Saturday. It's a little slower. Now it brings it on Saturday, and then it's gone. And what's happening is the upper trough, you've got one piece that's going out ahead, then the upper trough comes in for Sunday with some showers and maybe a thunderstorm when that goes by late Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening.
Right, and I said that, and I mentioned that yesterday.
Yes.
I said that there may be, I thought there may be some enough instability to throw in or warrant the mention of showers even on Sunday. Even though Sunday, of the 2 days, it looks like the wetter of the two will be Saturday, and then Sunday. What do you think now for the Belmont? Do you think there may be it may be Mudder's Day
Uh,
on Saturday
no,
afternoon,
you know
or
what? They have a way of drying that track out. They press it down pretty quick. I imagine that by race time, it'll probably be no worse than a good track. And depending on whether the sun comes out, it could even wind up being a sort of a wet, fast track. My prediction,
yeah,
though, on the turf races is that the turf will be probably uh, yielding or possibly even soft. So there's a lot of stake races. It's all stake races all day long at Belmont on Saturday. So even the turf races, they're probably going to leave them on the grass rather than take them off the turf. And I don't know. The Sunday thing, the upper trough looks a little, pretty solid. I'm wondering whether there might be some thunderstorms late Sunday afternoon or evening, maybe more than just a scattered shower or thunderstorm. Then that goes out, and looking down the longer term, I mean, it's more the same nonsense. High goes out, next cold front comes through. It looks a little drier next week, and that's one plus side in that if this northwest flow, the way the upper air is setting up, you'll get the occasional cold front, but it's coming down from the northwest, so it doesn't have a whole lot to work on. So we might not get all that much rain. And yes, by the way, I'm just noticing here on the 234 hour, which is in day 9, that is snow that is showing up near James Bay or just south of James Bay. You'll see it there on the map. There's this little patch of blue there. But that's the upper air is not warm by any stretch of the imagination. It's actually, as you said, it's anonymously a lot. What's the word, Joe? I can't. I'm having trouble pronouncing it. Anomalous, anomalously
and all,
uh, chilly for this time of year.
or cool as
Yeah, that'd be the
you know,
easy way to say it.
or the penguin. Remember the penguin that did
No,
the
that's the frog. Yes, I remember the penguin.
no. I mean, I'm talking about the cigarette. Was that cool with the K,
Oh,
not a
oh,
T?
okay. I thought you were going
Wait,
the bat down the Batman road. Uh, here's your
oh no
here,
no no.
here's your upper air. Yes, the upper
Yeah,
air.
Burgess. Let me just say quickly. Burgess Meredith once did an interview, and he said, "I've done Shakespeare. I've done all forms of acting. I've been nominated for all kinds of awards. But when I die, what will be the thing that I'll be most remembered for?" Then he paused and he went, yeah,
Exactly.
wah, wah, wah. But
Hey,
I think that was before. I think that was before he became Mickey in the Rocky movies. I think he'll be remembered more for that
hmm
than for the Penguin. But yeah.
yeah,
Anyway,
there was he was really good in with Lon Chaney Jr. in Of Mice and Men. Back, I think it's the movie was back in 1939. 30,
Yeah.
39 or 40. Very good in that particular movie. Um, anyway, here's your sharp trough for Sunday. I'm sorry, this is the one for Wednesday night, Thursday that goes negatively tilted. Then that goes out, and then you got another arm that drops down, and then that comes almost right overhead for Sunday evening, and then that goes out. Then you get a little bit of a ridge for about a day or so along about Wednesday into Thursday of next week. And of course, the circle of death is not taking me beyond 192 hours yet. Um, let's see if I can get to it now. But now, then that flattens out because there's another trough, and that's pretty strong here. This is now we're at June 16th. I mean, look at this flow. It's coming down from northern Canada right down into the Great
Right.
Lakes and eventually into the
Right.
Northeast. I mean, that's
That's what I said before. Yeah. I mean, when was the last time you saw that in June? Well, anytime during the summertime. I know it's not officially summertime yet even by then, but I mean, my goodness,
it's a
that's
month.
crazy.
It's about a month. It's about a month behind. If this were May 7th, and we were looking at this for mid-May, we'd say, okay, well, that doesn't seem too unusual. But this is our start to see early June, and these westerlies are supposed to weaken, but apparently they're not doing it. And I wonder whether that has to do with the fact that my understanding is that the Arctic ice has been very, very slow to go away uh, this spring. It's well above. I think it's at its highest level in about 10 years or something. But maybe that's having some impact here. But look at all that troughing that comes into the east right through the long term. I mean, eventually, toward the very end of the forecast period, you get the sort of ridge in the Gulf states, but you still have this northwest flow and higher than normal pressures up in the North Atlantic arced over Greenland. By no means does it get hot in a pattern like this, unless you're down further south. Like if you're down, say, in the southeast, and particularly in the Gulf states with a ridge like this, assuming it verifies out past day 10, okay, those areas will be, but uh, the Northeast and the northern Mid-Atlantic states are going to be, the northern Mid-Atlantic states, the southern end of that, it's going to be right on the line, and everybody else north and east of that will see temperatures near or even below average for this time of year. So it's a bit of an unusual pattern. The other thing I would point out with respect to the tropics, and I'm not going to look at the surface because I don't care whether it spins up something or not because it's sort of meaningless at this point. But I will say, Joe, that pressures across the Caribbean and down in the Gulf of Mexico are normal to maybe a little bit below normal. So it's possible that something might come out of there in the next sometime in the next 2 weeks. Not anytime soon, but sometime in the next couple of weeks. Maybe we might see something spin up again in the Caribbean or in the Southwest Gulf. But given the conditions of the lower than normal pressures there, but with the kind of pattern that we have set up along the East Coast, there's no way any of that's going to come up here anyway. So it's not going to be a threat. And if there is a big ridge across the South, it won't even be a threat for the Gulf states. It'll probably wind up going into Central America and then coming out the other side on the Pacific.
48 hours, though, not just for the Atlantic basin, but even for the Eastern Pacific, is quiet. And I think even for the Central Pacific, it's quiet for the next 48 hours. They're really in the tropics. There's really not much to write home about for the next couple of days, and as you just said, maybe not for another week or so. So I like this pattern. I don't like the fact that we have to deal with all the rain coming up because that means that my lawn is going to be soaked again. Means I probably won't be able to do anything with it until Friday. But still, it's a nice. I mean, I'm not looking at, and I know you mentioned people who enjoy hot weather, but at least we don't have to worry about any protracted heat wave or any potential real stormy weather or rainy weather. I mean, all things considered, it's a good pattern to be in right now for the next 1 to 2 weeks.
Agreed. All right, let's do a little a little bit of Briller Jeopardy. Mr. Briller, the chairman, is out doing COVID runs, and we hope he stays safe and hope his mom's doing well. And this is for everybody, so chat board can participate. And having only seen these movies once, I am no expert on these, Joe. I don't know if you are, but the category tonight is the trilogy Back to the Future.
Okay.
Uh,
Izzy D, thank you for hitting super chat. So, Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
Three-part trilogy here.
Yes. So, what does Doc's license plate say on his DeLorean?
Oh my God. I'm not that much of an expert on this
Well, let's see
trilogy.
if the chat
I have.
board. Let's see if the chat board can get this. So,
Is there is there a multiple choice or
um, no. Uh,
no?
what does it say on the license plate on the DeLorean? And I know there's
You
a
couldn't ask me the. You couldn't ask me an easy question like what's the name of his dog.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, I don't even know if that might be on the list of questions. Uh, so anyway, I'm just waiting for the chat board to kind of catch up here with respect to that. So the question again is, what does Doc's license plate say on his DeLorean? And I have no idea. When I looked at the questions, I said I can't answer any of this stuff because, as I said, I've seen the movies. I've seen them once. Uh, so there's it's not that many movies that I've seen many movies over and over and over again, some of them dozens of times, but they're not many of those.
okay, I don't cheat usually on these Briller Jeopardy questions. I mean, if I don't know the answer, I just come right out and say I know the answer. But I just Googled
Well,
the
Taco,
question, and
hold
I
on, hold on. Taco Cat's got the right answer. Out of time.
out of time.
Out of time is the correct answer. That is our first question for tonight. The next one is, what phrase does Doc repeat throughout the trilogy? What phrase does the Doc repeat throughout the trilogy? And I think it's a phrase that I've heard on on another show. Um, I'm thinking it was Batman. One of the characters would utter this phrase. I believe. I believe.
Well, I know that Michael J. Fox says heavy, and Doc doesn't understand what that means.
Right.
And in fact, what does that mean? Is gravity going to be greater in the future or whatever? Um,
Well, Scott Leary and Christinapedia have gotten the answer. A great Scott. And I
great. Ah,
and well,
yes.
I was thinking, what didn't Commissioner Gordon used to say that on Batman? Somebody did. I maybe I'm wrong. What was the name of Marty's band? The name of Marty's band.
Oh, these are good trivia questions because I've seen those movies more than a few times. I've never taken note of any of these things. Um, Marty's band. I don't know.
Marty's band, folks. And let's see. We're waiting.
Drucker, Haney,
Uh,
Drucker, Haney, and
and,
Gotzi,
and no, and Kimball.
and Kimball.
And Mr. Kimball. While we're waiting for the answer to this particular question, Joe, can you review the super chat hits that we've just received?
We have one from Leon Probitsky. I'm trying to figure out what that is. It looks like somebody.
Yawning
And I can see yeah, somebody's yawning.
with a lot of hair.
And Birder Lady, thank you, Birder Lady, who wants us all to know that there's going to be a special talk. And Birder Lady had mentioned, is this going to be a Zoom talk available on Zoom that anybody could hook up to on June 15th about climate change and its effects on New Jersey's environment? Um, and Izzy Dees also says, Joe Rayo, come say hi. I'm not too far from you. I'm about a 3-minute drive from Rockland Community College. Well, next time I'm in the vicinity of Rockland Community, I might just do that, Izzy. And I'm trying to find, well, Izzy, as I mentioned, Izzy D also on Super Chat, and that's about it. I think it's Izzy D, Birder Lady, and our dear friend Mr. Probitsky, who hit Super Chats to this moment in time.
And the answer to the question, since no one seems to have it, is pinheads. The pinheads. Who was the mayor in the 1985? Who was the mayor in 1985?
In Back to the Future,
Yes.
I know that he was. What was he in 1955? He was somebody. Was he like the guy who worked in the general store or whatever? And he made a prediction. He said someday I'm gonna run for mayor in this town, and they didn't. Whoever it was didn't believe it, and he became the mayor. But I don't remember.
Well, his name is no, it's not Dink. Somebody put up Dinkins. No, his name is.
I'm just thinking about Bob
Christina
Vila being
Pedia gets the correct answer again. Goldie Brown is the correct
Goldie
answer.
Brown.
What
Goldie
song?
Brown.
I'm going to run through these real quick, okay? Because there's just a few more questions, and I may just stop it here in the middle of it and save the rest for tomorrow. Um, what song did Marty and his band play for the audition? Play for the dance audition? What was the song that he played for the
I don't
dance
know.
audition?
It was like he played it, or his band played it for like 10 seconds, and they immediately the bald headed guy who was on the school staff immediately like said, "Get out of here." He didn't like it.
Tara Harmon Joe wants to know if you go through a black hole, is that the equivalent to time travel?
I don't know. I've seen some science fiction movies that say if you go faster than the speed of light, you go backwards in time. If there's something ridiculous like that.
I have to get you that book from that's the CCNY astronomy professor, Joe. It's called the God Equation, and it gets into all of that. It gets into wormholes and black holes and multi universes and 11 dimensions, and it's very interesting. It's very interesting.
Was that Miku Kaku?
I don't know. I don't remember the name of the author. It's sitting
All right.
on my bedstand. It's a short. It's not a bit. It's a relatively short and an easy read, but it's called the God Equation.
Right.
I saw it him on the book channel one night, which is something you know I occasionally when there's absolutely nothing on, which is most of the time, I'll go to the book channel and he happened to be there and he caught my attention. So because I actually bought the book, which is something I've never done off of Amazon by watching him on the book channel. What song did Marty and his band play for the dance audition? The answer is "The Power of Love." Okay. Now there's five more questions. I'm going to save these for tomorrow because um, I got to get the dog walked and uh, then get myself ready
But that
for.
was that was the theme. But that was the theme of maybe all three Back to the Futures, The Power of Love, but as I said, the head guy, the head judge, told him to stop after like 5 or 10 seconds, saying they're too damn loud.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, look. Anyway, let's wrap it up here uh, at 8:15 Eastern Time. Thanks very much for being here. Thanks to those of you who hit super chat tonight. Thank you, most appreciated as always. Uh, Kara Harmon, the book channel is part of C-SPAN. So if you have C-SPAN, you probably have the book channel. If you don't, I would call my cable provider and demand that they put the book channel um, the book channel on. And yes, Miss Fallerite, if you ever make it down to Georgia, we'll definitely share a. Well, I can't have wine right now with the way my stomach is, but you can have the wine, and I'll drink something else, probably just ice water or something. Okay, we will see you tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern. Nighty night, everybody.
good night, folks.